Good morning. So today we are going to start with the doubts first of all. Before that, send me your presents. How many are available? Sonika, Karthik, Vijay, Siddharth, Annie, Hitesh. Very good, very good. Good morning to all of you. Send your presents fast. Good. So as discussed in our previous lecture, we were interested to have an additional lecture for accounting standards also. That has been planned also. Yes, Siddharth has sent me a doubt about AS22 illustration number 3, please. So we'll have to go for illustration number 3 also. Before that, this is good. Neelab, Gehni, Ben Reddy, Rahul, Deepak, everyone. Good morning, all of you. Very good. Vijay. So send the doubts also. Whatever the doubts are there in your previous years, would like to share for that. We would like to discuss for that. One thing is there for your total doubts. We have a separate additional session also. So no matters. You may collect your doubts and we will discuss those in our special session on accounting standard that has also been planned. In AS22, there is a doubt in illustration number 3. Let's see that. AS22 illustration number 3. Yes. This is illustration number 3 regarding PQR Limited, whose accounting year ends on 31st of March. Company made a loss of 2 lakh for the year ended 31st of March. So here it is very much clear that there is no profit, instead there is a loss. For the year ending 31st of March 2012 and March 2013, we have made a profit of 1 lakh and 1,20,000 respectively. Assume that the loss can be carried forward for 8 years, as it is a provision in income tax also, and tax rate is 40%. By the end of 31st March, the company feels that there is sufficient taxable income in the future years against which we can carry forward loss to be settled off. No difference between taxable and accounting income except that the carry forward loss is allowed in the year ending 2012 and 13 for tax purpose. We have to prepare a statement of profit or loss for the year ended. Very good illustration. See, here it is. Beta. Profit or loss is 2 lakh for 31st of March 2011. This is loss. And we have profits in the next years, 1 lakh and 1,80,000. So whatever the profit in future years, that will be used to adjust the losses of your previous year. So that we are trying to do. For that purpose, they have calculated yes. Here you will have to see. Just a moment. I would like to solve it for you with the just a moment. Yes. So on this loss of 2 lakh, we have a tax of 40%. So on 2 lakh loss, we'll have to suffer a loss of 40, we have to save a tax of 40%, that is 80,000 rupees. So this is 40% on 2 lakh. This 80,000 will be adjusted in future years. In the next year, there's a profit of 40% on 1 lakh. So 40,000 will be adjusted in that year. In the next year, further, how much we have to adjust? Out of 80,000, 40,000 is already adjusted. So balance of 40,000 will be adjusted in this year. So that he is interested to show you that, first of all, how much is the current tax that he has already mentioned you. Out of this profit of 1,20,000, you must have to see that how much is the tax on this. On this, tax is 48,000. 40,000 tax of previous year is adjusted. So 8,000 will be the tax which is payable in this year. That is calculated in this way, or there is another way, 1,20,000 minus loss of 1 lakh carried forward from 2011. So balance of 20,000 is a profit for the current year, which is to be used for calculating loss, for calculating tax. In simple words, I would like to describe you in Hindi also. बेटा जो प्रॉफिट या लॉस हमारा 2 लाख रुपए का 2 लाख रुपीस का हमारा जो लॉस है वो हमें एडजस्ट करना है. तो उसके लिए फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल 2 लाख में से आप 1 लाख एडजस्ट कर दोगे. So how much is the balance? 2 lakh minus 1 lakh, that is 1 lakh, which is to be carried forward to further next year. So that 1 lakh will be adjusted out of this 1,20,000, 120 minus 1 lakh. So 20,000 is your net profit for the third year. So that 20,000 will be used for calculating this. Just give me a minute. Yes. Yes. So it's very simple that there's a loss of 2 lakh, which is to be carried forward to the next years to be adjusted. So loss is to be adjusted from the next year profits, and the profits are very much given to you, 1 lakh and 1,20,000. So first of all, you have to adjust your profits against the losses which you have suffered in the previous year. So 2 lakh minus 2 lakh, you may say. So balance is only 20,000 which is left. That is to be paid as a tax, that is to be used for calculating tax. So this is the concept in this case. I think it is clear, Vita. Any doubt to anyone? Please tell me. So change your camera angle. I think your laptop camera is being used. So it is given loss has to be adjusted for 8 years, but it is adjusted in 2 consecutive. Beta, it meant for that if the loss can't be adjusted in the first year, it can be carried forward to the second year. If it can't be adjusted in the second year, it will be taken over to the third year. If it can't be taken or adjusted in the fourth year, then it will be carried forward to the fifth year. So it will be carried forward. Means maximum period is 8 years, but we can adjust it in 1 year even. If you may assume that the profit in 2012, yes, profit in 2012 is 3 lakh. In that case, this 2 lakh loss will be adjusted out of 3 lakh in the first year only. You need not to adjust it in the second year also. So that is a concept which will be used. Means this is a maximum period, not the minimum period. Okay, sir, understood. No, sir. Okay, sir, please repeat meaning of timing difference once. Okay, again this sum. Hiral, this is very simple, beta. I think there's nothing difficult in this question. First of all, let it be very much clear that there's a loss of total loss of 2 lakhs, which is to be adjusted in the next years. And in the next year, we have a profit of 1 lakh in the first year and 1 lakh 20,000 in the second year. So what we will do, we will adjust this loss in the first year, 1 lakh out of this 2 lakhs. And then balance 1 lakh will be adjusted out of this loss. You may say like this also. So there's no profit. In this case, we have a profit of 20,000 on which tax is to be paid 8,000 rupees. That's it. Now, profit loss after effect is given to you. This is profit after tax. So profit after tax is 2 lakh minus 80,000. That's the tax saving, not loss, tax saving. So net profit after tax is 1 lakh 20,000. Here 1 lakh minus 40,000, that is to be adjusted because loss is adjusted in this case, 1 lakh minus 1 lakh. So net we have a payment of, net we have a profit of 60,000. In the next year also, this is 1 lakh 20,000 minus 48,000. So net is 72,000. Well, there are two calculations which you have to keep into mind. One thing is you will have to adjust to your previous losses. Second thing is you will have to adjust to your taxes also. So both things are to be kept into mind. 1 lakh 20,000 minus 48,000. And here 1 lakh minus 40,000. So that's the point. I think it is clear to everyone now. Let's understand the timing difference. Timing difference. So here it is given to you. What is timing difference? This is the difference between taxable and the accounting income for a period that originated in one period and a capital reversal in next period. Meaning thereby, बड़ा सिंपल मीनिंग है बेटा. देखो टाइमिंग डिफरेंस का मतलब क्या है कि जो हम लोग अपने इनकम टैक्स एक्ट के बेस पर हम लोग जो अपनी इनकम की कैलकुलेशन करते हैं उस पे जो हम टैक्स कैलकुलेट करेंगे, और दूसरा हमारा जो अकाउंटिंग पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से जो हमारा प्रॉफिट कैलकुलेट होता है उस पे जो हम टैक्स, वो जो हमारी इनकम है, दोनों इनकम्स की अगर हम बात करें, एक तरफ तो हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं टैक्सेबल इनकम की. टैक्सेबल इनकम मतलब जो एज पर इनकम टैक्स एक्ट है, और अकाउंटिंग इनकम एज पर अकाउंटिंग in books of accounts. We are preparing books of accounts, so we have to calculate profit according to both. If the profit according to income tax act after making all adjustments of allowed and disallowed expenses and incomes, it is 1 lakh, and we have calculated profit according to books of accounts while preparing profit or loss account in routine, as we are doing in routine, in which we are not making any adjustment of disallowed expenses or incomes. It is 40,000. So timing difference is what? This is 1 lakh minus 40,000. That is 60,000. It's clear. So this timing difference concept is to be kept into mind while using AS 22. As in the given case, if you will see, In the given case, what happened? You have a loss of 2 lakhs. This loss is basically to be adjusted in the future years. So if you will see, this was illustration number 3rd. No? Yes. First of all, you have to understand the concept that we have to go for current tax and the tax which is calculated as per your accounting system, because both are different. Let it be very much clear. Yes. Here he says that the company made a loss of 2 lakh for the year ended. For the year ending 31st March, it made a profit of 1 lakh and 1 lakh 20,000. Now, we have to understand the concept better. Let's try to understand it by way of a separate calculation. I assume few are not yet clear on this. So let's have a full-fledged knowledge of this thing. We are always calculating profit before tax. This is 2 lakh. In first year, in second year, it is 1 lakh. In third year, it is 1 lakh 20,000. This is clear to everyone? Now, this is profit before tax. What we are doing minus tax. But before adjusting tax, we are normally adjusting our profit or losses that we assumed in our mind. But one thing should be very much clear to you. We are making two calculations here. One thing is we are just calculating that how profit will be adjusted, loss will be adjusted. Loss of rupees 2 lakh is adjusted 1 lakh in this year and 1 lakh in this year. So net profit is 20,000 and here net profit is 0. This is completely adjusted in future years. So it comes to an end. This thing is, I assume, clear to everyone. Okay. Then we have to check it out that how much is our minus. We have calculated tax minus tax. So tax is 8,000 on it. We know it very well. It is 12,000. So this normally comes to our mind that this is a exact position in this question. One thing is clear to everyone. I assume this is clear. Now, if we are interested to check it out that how much is your profit after tax, then that is a separate concept. So that has been solved in the question by way of making a calculation of 1, 2, 3. Profit before tax is 2 lakh, 1 lakh, 1 lakh 20,000. So this is loss, you know? So minus tax. This is in routine what we are doing. So in routine what we are doing, minus tax means here tax saving is 80,000 rupees. So 1 lakh 20,000 is your net profit after tax, means it is a loss. Here 40,000 is the tax payment. So 60,000 is your profit after tax. Here 48,000 is it. It will be 72,000. So these two things are to be adjusted in this question. What he has done it in different way. What he has done, he has not shown it in this way that they have adjusted losses. Instead, they have adjusted taxes because the ES belongs to ES of accounting for taxes on income. So what he has done, instead of adjusting 2 lakh loss, what he has done, he says there's a loss of 2 lakh on which tax of 80,000 is to be adjusted. So 1,20,000 will be your net loss. This 80,000 is adjusted in which way? 1 lakh is the profit of next year. Out of that 40,000 loss, 40,000 tax saved by us is adjusted in the next year. So 60,000 is the balance. Out of this 40,000 is adjusted. And then 1,20,000, he says this 40,000 is to be adjusted as a, out of it, balance is 20,000 on which we have paid a tax of 8,000 and 12,000 is our 1,20,000 minus 40, sorry, 80 aega. This is 80 minus tax on that amount. Yeah. I assume this is clear. I assume this is clear, बेटा. उसने बड़ा सिंप्लीफाई करके इसको करने की कोशिश नहीं करी, उसने थोड़ा सा इसको डिफरेंट तरीके से किया है, बट लॉजिकली यू शुड हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड द कंसेप्ट एंड दैट इज दिस वन what I have done for you. Or you may go by this way also. This is also good thing if you will understand this. This is just a way of presentation. Sonika says net profit or loss should be difference if carried forward losses are adjusted. Exactly. And also next time I don't understand. Okay, I'll do it for you. Illustration number 4. Omega Limited is working on different projects which are likely to be completed within 3 years period. So the period is 3 years. We recognize revenue from these contracts on percentage of completion method. So this is basically construction contract as we have done in ES7 also. It recognizes revenue from these contracts on percentage of completion method for financial statements during 1 to 01, 12 and 13. However, for the income tax purpose, we have adopted completed contract method, which it has recognized revenue of 7 lakh, 18 lakh and 23 lakh. Income tax rate is given to you. So you have to calculate the deferred tax asset and liabilities. First of all, let's have an accounting income that is given to you. Accounting income is with you. This is clear to everyone. Then taxable income is also given to you. Now, what is the timing difference? That should be clear to everyone. Accounting minus taxable income. This is 11 lakh minus 7 lakh is equal to 4. 16 minus 18 is equal to 2 lakh. This is a reverse amount, negative amount. This is also with you. So what do you have to do? We have to calculate the deferred tax, which is 35% on it. So that we have done. 4 lakh 35% is 1,40,000. So is it deferred tax asset or liability? That is very much clear that we have paid. Our taxable income is less. Accounting income is more. So actual tax should be paid on the accounting income, but we are paying always on taxable income. So it means for it is to be paid in future. So if it is to be paid in future, on this 4 lakh we have to pay 1,40,000 in future. So that will be future payment, not yet. So this will be a deferred tax liability. In the next one, timing difference is 2 lakh, but this is reverse because here what happened? 16 lakh is the accounting income, whereas here 18 lakh is the taxable income. So in the first year, there's a 4 lakh timing difference. So this timing difference will be reversed in the next year. In the next year, 2 lakh negative is there. But in the first year, it is 4 lakh positive. So out of that 4 lakh positive, we have adjusted this 2 lakh. So net is 2 lakh. So this 2 lakh comes how? This is positive amount. This was negative. So we have calculated it by way of 4 lakh minus 2 lakh. So this it resulted beta. So on this 2 lakh we have to pay tax at the rate of 35%, that is 70,000. Next, how much is the balance now? Out of this 4 lakh, we have adjusted 2 lakh in it. Balance 2 lakh will be adjusted here. That is 2 lakh positive minus, out of this 4 lakh, 2 lakh is left. Minus 2 lakh loss, this one. So balance is 0. So on this we have to pay 70,000. That's very simple बेटा. दोबारा एक बार समझा देता हूँ हिंदी में कि देखो 11 लाख रुपए का हमारा अकाउंटिंग इनकम थी. यहीं पर देख लो, चाहे 11 लाख रुपए की अकाउंटिंग इनकम थी और 7 लाख की मेरी टैक्सेबल इनकम थी. यहाँ पर जो ये 4 लाख का डिफरेंस है, ये मुझे नेक्स्ट ईयर में एडजस्ट करना है. तो जिसमें से 2 लाख तो यहाँ एडजस्ट हो गया बेटा. अब देखो ना, 18 minus 16, बिकॉज नाउ टैक्सेबल इनकम इज मोर एंड 16 लाख इज द अकाउंटिंग इनकम. 2 लाख तो यहाँ एडजस्ट हो गया, 2 लाख मेरा यहाँ एडजस्ट हो गया. यहाँ भी 22 लाख 23 minus 21. सो ये यहीं पर एडजस्टमेंट हो गई सारी. तो यहाँ पर आपका एडजस्टमेंट हो गया. अब एडजस्टमेंट होने के बाद यहाँ पर कितना रह गया टाइमिंग डिफरेंस? 2 लाख रह गया. तो मेरा डेफर्ड टैक्स कितना कैरी फॉरवर्ड होगा? डेफर्ड टैक्स कैरी फॉरवर्ड कर रहा हूं मैं, टैक्स कैलकुलेट नहीं कर रहा. डेफर्ड टैक्स को कैरी फॉरवर्ड कर रहा हूं. कितना कैरी फॉरवर्ड होगा? देखो ना, यहाँ पर 4 लाख में से 2 लाख एडजस्ट हो गया, 2 लाख रह गया था. तो 2 लाख मैं नेक्स्ट ईयर में एडजस्ट करूंगा. तो यहाँ कैरी फॉरवर्ड कर लिया मैंने 2 लाख. ये बैलेंस लिखा हुआ है, ये एक्चुअल टाइमिंग डिफरेंस नहीं है, ये तो बैलेंस जो डिफरेंस रह गया. देखो ना, इसमें से हमने जब टाइमिंग डिफरेंस निकाला, ये ए है, ये बी है, ये ए माइनस बी है. और बैलेंस क्या है? ये है जो आपने सी हो गया ये आपका, ठीक है, दिस इज सी. अब जो सी है आपका, सी में से आप लोग क्या करोगे? एडजस्ट करोगे जितना भी आपकी एडजस्टमेंट पॉसिबल है. तो फर्स्ट ईयर में तो 4 लाख ही आएगा. नेक्स्ट ईयर में 4 लाख में से हम 2 लाख रुपीज नेगेटिव जो है ये वाला एडजस्ट कर देंगे. तो बैलेंस बच जाएगा 2 लाख. उसके बाद नेक्स्ट ईयर में 2 लाख माइनस 2 लाख, तो बैलेंस बच जाएगा 0. ये सब कैरी फॉरवर्ड की बातें कर रहे हैं, ये कोई करंट ईयर की कैलकुलेशन अदरवाइज नहीं कर रहे, ये सब कैरी फॉरवर्ड. इफ टी इज इट क्लियर टू एवरीवन? प्लीज टेल मी. If tea plants are planted in a tea plantation, huge expenses are incurred. Okay. Tea leaves also after processing becomes inventories for sale. Tea leaves after processing becomes inventory for sale. Okay. But before processing, how should be the tea plants treated in accounts? I don't know if it is relevant or not. Please explain, sir. Huge expenses are incurred. That is not a problem whether you are incurring beta huge expenses or you are incurring less expenses. That is not a matter. If we are doing any process in which output will come, we are putting an input and getting out of it output. So when input output concept is there, then there's no problem. Obviously it is all the part of your expenses, and this will be just like as we are doing in manufacturing account or trading account. All direct expenses will be incurred in that, and when the product will be ready to sell, it will be named as inventory, which is finished goods. And until it is not ready to sell, this is work in progress. If it is saleable at that position also, if it is not valuable, if it is not saleable, then we are not valuing it. Otherwise, if the period is there, you may assume there is a period as on 31st of March. This is work in progress in simple words. Crystal clear. Very good. Wonderful explanation. Thanks, beta. Yes, sir. But how 70,000 came in deferred tax liability? Deferred tax liability 70,000 balance or this one? I don't know what you are interested to ask, but I would like to let you be very much clear. I would like to explain the thing which you are interested to have. Here it is simple, beta. You may go by this thing also. जैसे हम लोग यहाँ पर निकाल रहे हैं ना 4 लाख माइनस 2 लाख करके, इसी तरह से यहाँ पर हम लोग निकालेंगे 1,40,000 माइनस 70,000. तो बैलेंस आ जाएगा आपका 70,000। ये 2 लाख पे 35% कैलकुलेट करते हैं हम लोग, 70,000 आता है, और इसमें से ओपनिंग में से हम लोग ये 70,000 माइनस करते हैं तो ये 70,000 आता है। मींस अगर आप कहो कि ये डेफर टैक्स कैसे आ रहा है, दिस इज 35%। मैंने बताया था ये ए है, ये बी है, ये सी है, ये डी है, ये ई है और ये एफ है। तो फिर हम लोग कैसे चलेंगे वो देख लो आप। फिर हमारा कंसेप्ट क्या रहता है, इसमें ए माइनस बी कर देते हैं। बैलेंस निकालने के लिए हम क्या कर रहे हैं, हम सी कॉलम में से जो ओपनिंग है उसमें से नेक्स्ट को हम माइनस कर रहे हैं, तो हमारा कैलकुलेशन आ रहा है। इसके बाद डेफर टैक्स ई में हम क्या कर रहे हैं, ई में हम कर रहे हैं डी इंटू 35%, और एफ में हम क्या कर रहे हैं, एफ में हम कर रहे हैं ओपनिंग माइनस जो हमारा मतलब ई में जो ओपनिंग है हमारा उसमें से माइनस कर रहे हैं हम लोग जो हमारा करंट टैक्स है, जो हमारा नेक्स्ट अमाउंट है। तो 140 में से 70 माइनस कर दिए, यहाँ 70 में से 70 माइनस कर दिया, तो बैलेंस आपका आ गया निल। दैट्स इट। वो कैलकुलेशन दो तरफ से कर ली उसने ना, डेफर टैक्स की अलग से कैलकुलेशन कर ली, टाइमिंग डिफरेंस की अलग से कैलकुलेशन कर ली। दैट्स इट बेटा, नथिंग एल्स। We are supposed to calculate only deferred tax and not whole tax liability, right sir? Exactly beta, in this question Pooja, this is required only. So I think this is clear to everyone. Now tell me one thing, a special lecture has been planned for you by ICI. A special lecture has been planned for you by ICI for the purpose of covering the last AS 29. So for that purpose they have planned lecture on 21st of August. But I think it will break the relationship between the AS. So what I would like to do that, I would like to use these two lectures for you. One lecture is today's lecture. Today I'll cover AS 29 for you. And on 21st of August, what I will do, we will cover the questions, practical questions, your doubts, and also part of the topic left out of the next chapters. थोड़ा सा मैं इसको अपने हिसाब से मैनेज करना चाहता हूं, because the issue is this one, if we'll not cover AS 29 today, it will be a just breaking the relationship. So we'll cover AS 29 today, and that day 21st of August I'll try to utilize practical questions of AS, all AS, because those are given in, you may say, a good number of questions are given to you. If you see at the end of these AS accounting standard, you will get number of questions. Also, I would like to cover those parts of the chapters, whatever is left, because my last lecture is on maybe 17th of August. Yes, 17th of August. Otherwise, so an extended lecture is given for 21st of August to me. So we'll do one thing better. We will, whatever is not covered up to 17th of August in the chapters given to me, I'll cover it on 21st of August. So on 21st of August, we will adjust accordingly. Remaining is all up to the time, whatever happens. So go accordingly. Today, I'm going to cover AS 29 better. You must have to insist others also to get these lectures if you are feeling satisfied. If you are not satisfied, don't do it. But if you are satisfied, let all other friends to join and share these lectures to as much people as much you can do, so that other students may also be benefited, because I think only limited number of students are taking live lectures. Remaining are normally going for recorded lecture, which is not a good for the health of the ICE students, because in that case you will not be able to get so much benefit whatever we are discussing in our live portal. So I suggest you to insist more and more students to join for the live classes, and don't wait for the recorded one to be given to them. Simultaneously, one thing is very much important. Those who are attending today must have to remain in live classes up to the end, because live classes will always be a more benefit for you. Recorded are available to you to review it, to go for the revision. So my suggestion should be beneficial if it is possible. May I ask question today or on 21st? Aditi, it is better we may collect the questions, and if there will be a time, no matters, we will discuss the questions today also. First, I'll cover AS 29, and then I'll take the queries, whatever is left with you. Remaining queries we may take on 21st. Okay, Aditi? Good. So the AS is AS 29. Have you read this AS, all of you? A good AS from examination point of view. Normally, this AS gives good number of questions in the exam. Now at time, I can't say even one AS is important, because all the AS are equally important. You have 13 AS. If you will see, you have 13 AS. So out of these 13 AS, what will happen with you? You will get maximum 5 marks questions. And these 5 marks questions will be expected 4 to 6 questions in your exams. So assume I'll get 6 questions of 5 marks each. 30 marks will be covered in your yes. But one thing is very much important, that if we'll get 6 questions, then these 6 questions from 6 AS, because this is a rare chance that there will be 2 questions from one single AS in the same paper. So we will expect that 6 AS will be covered in your single paper, in every paper you may say. So if 6 AS are to be covered, how we can say that out of 13 these 6 are important? Because in that case all are equally important, beta. So you have to do one thing. You have to understand the concepts in each and every AS and do more and more questions, so that you will be able to understand this thing, that we have to present the questions in such a way that your examiner must give you, paper checker must give you the good marks. For that purpose, I have already discussed you beta, whenever you are going to write an answer in your exam, first of all, refer AS. Next, give concept of AS in relation to the topic in question. Whatever topic is asked, you must have to give a concept of that topic, that this top in relation to this topic, AS says this. So that should be better. If it will be possible, that should be in a way we have to present it in the language whatever is given in AS. That will be more preferable. So something is to be memorized. But what is to be memorized? Whether you have to refer the complete AS, as there are complete AS also given to you in your module. You will see at ICA portal there are complete AS given to you. But from CA Inter point of view, if you will cover these AS in the way we have discussed, we have studied, that is more than enough. You may read it and accordingly give a body part. Like if you will see that in given case, we have to mention something about executory contract. Just I am taking an example. Then you have to just give these 2 lines or a language which is related to these 2 lines. If he is discussing about a provision, you may have to mention that. If he is discussing about the how much amount of provision is to be created, then you should have to write first of all, a provision is a liability which can be made only by using a substantial degree of estimation. So here in this case, well, now it may be given other way also, that a provision is to be created for the amount which we can measure reliably. In this way, you will have to write a concept here. Give concept of AS means this: a provision is to be created for the amount which we think which we expect to occur, which we are expecting that it will occur. So in this way, you will have to write there the body part. And third is relate it with question. So that will be written in the given question. He has asked this. So my answer is this. Fourth is you will have to give your answer. That will be the way it should be presented in a better manner. So I think you have done so many questions which have solutions also. So you are better understanding this thing that we have to go by this way. Yes, sir, these ES lectures are very informative. It's helping us student to get crystal clear understanding. Very good. Thank you, sir, and ICA for the opportunity. Actually, I do articleship, so it's not possible for me to do the lectures in live session. But articleship is required only and only if we will clear CA. If a student doesn't become chartered accountant, what he will do with the articleship? So I suggest you to tell to your chartered accountant that my classes timing are before 10 and after 5 p.m. and ICA doesn't allow any chartered accountant to call the student before 10 a.m. and after 5 p.m. This is my vision, my idea. So your working timing should be 10 to 5 or 10 to 6 normally. So due to that reason, ICA has planned classes before 10 and after 5 or 6 p.m. So I suggest you to don't be dependent on your chartered accountants. Let them be very much clear that I must have to attend the classes before 10 a.m. because I am going to become a chartered accountant. I am not going to remain article for my whole of my life. I will have to be a chartered accountant. So if a person is interested to be a chartered accountant, primarily he should have to understand the concepts. He must have to get the education. He must have to clear the CA exams. Secondly, he must have the knowledge of practical knowledge of doing all that. For that purpose, we are going for the chartered accountants training. We are going for the articleship training. On 25, let's first complete ESOPs, because if we start discussing questions at beginning, time will be lost. Exactly, beta. Yes, sir. Read AS 29. Yes, sir. Very good. Good. So you people are studying it. That's really good for me. Now, what is AS 29? The name itself defines its concept. Provisions. What means for the provisions we have already discussed in AS 4 or 5. What was that AS? Provisions. Where we have studied this provisions, contingent liabilities and contingent assets. Tell me. Where you have studied it? Yes, beta. In AS 4 or 5 years studied provisions, contingent liabilities and contingent assets. Remember or not? Don't remember. AS 4 relates to provisions, contingent liabilities and assets, or AS 5. चलो मैं आपको हिंट भी दे देता हूँ. AS 4. One student has written, Aditi, AS 4 revised. Aditi, you will clear ICA in your first attempt, there's no problem. Remaining will also clear, but they must have to make some amendments in their knowledge. A student has written, Aditi, AS 4 revised. That I would like to listen. I would like to read. AS 4 revised is the real name. It's not AS 4 beta. We studied contingent liabilities. Exactly, beta. One more student, Rahul Kuleria, has written AS 4 revised. Exactly. Siddharth, no, he has not written. Better to clear CA exam, you must have to be very much crystal clear on your concepts, on your logics, whatever I am giving you, whatever you are studying. I already mentioned you, wherever you find a revised word, you must have to use that word everywhere. Whenever you use the name, this is a part of the name. So, good. Now, what happened? Actually, there was only AS 4 before 2004. There was only AS 4 before 2004. But there was some such type of issues in provisions, contingent assets, liability. These are the part of AS4 earlier. These are not the part of AS29, because at that time there was no AS29. So when AS29 has to be issued, the concept was made that AS29 is required to give more and more big explanations regarding provisions, contingent liabilities, and contingent assets. It is not practically possible to make that all adjustment in your AS4, because AS4 at that time was covering only brief concepts of provisions, etc. So 2 AS was revised on that day. One was AS4, which was revised, and simultaneously AS29 comes into the picture. And then it has been revised, that has been mentioned here. AS29 revised came into effect in respect of accounting period commenced on or after 1st of April. So on 1st of April 2004, it has come into the picture. It is extracted to some extent from AS4. So some meanings, some definitions, some logics will be from AS4. It will be a part of AS4 earlier. So obviously it have some relationship, or it have some basics relationship with that also. One more thing is there. We have done it in CA Foundation also. In CA Foundation also you have done this. That what is provisions, what is contingent assets, liabilities. So something will be already something will be same. So what is the objective? First of all, we have to recognize what is provision, what is contingent liability, what is contingent asset. Recognize, पहचानना, recognize करना. उसका क्या criteria होगा? What will be the criteria for that? Then we have to go for measurement. We have to find what will be the base for measurement of it. How it will be measured in money form. Third is disclosure. Where it is to be disclosed? In the notes to financial statement. And obviously it is very much clear to everyone. All that is to be done to enable users to understand their nature, timing, and amount. That's it. And the final objective he has mentioned to lay down appropriate accounting for contingent assets. So this is all to be consolidated. One is recognition. Second is measurement. Third is disclosure. Fourth is accounting for contingent assets. Write it down with you. Recognition. Second is measurement. Disclosure. And accounting for contingent assets. So these are the 4 objectives. Good morning, Madhushiri. Noted? Some limitation, some inclusions and exclusions of this AS. First of all, he says it is applied in accounting. It is applied in accounting. So in addition to recognition, measurement, third is recognition, measurement, disclosure, fourth is accounting for contingent assets. Its scope also include accounting for provisions and contingent liabilities. So this is the fifth thing, accounting for provisions and contingent liabilities. We have to exclude some first. Other than those resulting from is any type of working, any type of contract where financial instruments are there, which are to be carried out, that are to be carried at fair value. We need not to apply ES 29. Means I have debentures with me, and they are carried at their fair value. In that case, no provision, no AS 29 will be applied. Executory contract. What is executory contract? We will discuss. On that, AS 29 will not apply. Insurance enterprises, AS 29 will not apply. And like those AS, like those points which are covered in other AS, like you will see in construction contracts, AS 7 is applicable. In revenue recognition, AS 9 is applicable. In government grants, different AS is there. Leases, different AS is there. Accounting for taxes on income, different AS is there. So on there, for them, provisioning is to be made, or whatever is to be done, that will be according to their AS. We will not have to cover all those in this particular AS because separate AS is already there. So what are to be excluded, beta? First, financial instruments. Second, executory contracts. Third is insurance. Fourth is those covered in other AS. What are covered under AS? Other AS, construction contract, revenue recognition, government grants, leases, taxes on income. That's it. Harsh, maybe I have entertained your query. I have already mentioned you that AS 29 also applied to accounting for provisions and contingent liabilities. Okay. So this was not given in definition. This has been mentioned in scope. Now go for the definitions. Executory contracts. In this case, executory contract meant for those contracts where both the parties agreed to do something but not completed their working. Both the parties agreed but not yet completed their work. So if they have completed their work, then it is not an executory contract because it is not yet executed. Executory means for which is yet pending to be executed in full. अभी काम कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ, अभी या तो पार्शियली काम किया गया या अभी काम शुरू ही नहीं किया गया दोनों पार्टीज के द्वारा. In that case, it is a executory contract. Provision is very well known to us, which can be measured by us by using a substantial degree of estimation. Liability is very well known to everyone. What is a liability? It's a present obligation arising from past events, whatever we have done in past. On that basis, if any present obligation has arisen, the settlement of which is expected to result in an outflow from the enterprise of resources embodying economic benefit, means where we have to make some payments either by that will be in money or money's worth, and this is paid as a present obligation resulting from past events. So past events have already been done. On that basis, we are paying it. Obligating event meant for what? It's an event that creates an obligation that result in an enterprise have no realistic alternative to settling that obligation. Means we must have to pay it obligatory. हमें pay तो करना ही पड़ेगा. Is an event that create an obligation that result in an enterprise having no realistic alternative to settling that obligation. Means we doesn't have any realistic alternative to settle. We must have to do that. हमें वो करना ही पड़ेगा. कोई भी काम अगर आपको कोई भी ऐसा इवेंट आपको मिल जाता है जो आपको इवेंट करना ही पड़ेगा, जिसको हम अल्टरनेटिवली क्लोज नहीं कर सकते, तो उसको ऑब्लिगेटरी इवेंट कहा गया. कहीं पर यूज होगा वहां ज्यादा क्लियर कर देंगे आपको. Contingent liability is normally clear to everyone. It's a possible obligation that arises from past event, which depends upon occurrence or non-occurrence of one or more uncertain future events, which are not in the control of other enterprises. Already discussed in detail. Present obligation is the obligation arises from past event but is not recognized because it is not probable that an outflow will be required to settle the obligation. A reliable estimate of the amount cannot be made. Means he says it's an obligation. देखो contingent liability का मीनिंग कर रहे हैं हम लोग. What meant for contingent liability is a possible obligation and a present obligation. There are two things. Either it is a possible obligation or a probable. Possible means which may arise. Present means that arise, but it is not yet confirmed. But it is not possible to be recognized. How is it? He says it's a possible obligation, means it may arise if this thing will happen. It will depend upon occurrence or non-occurrence of one or more uncertain future events. Like already discussed, there's a person to whom we have sold goods, and goods are sold for rupees 10 lakh. Later on, he comes to us. He says, "No, I am not interested to keep your goods with me. Get it back and return my money to me." So we are not agreed on it. He sued us in the court. In that case, he sued us in the court to get back those goods and give me rupees 10 lakh. So this is all depending upon the decision of the court that whether we have to make that payment or not. In that case, this is a contingent liability because it is not yet decided. Second is present obligation. We know that we must have to get these goods back. But how much we have to pay, we can't estimate it reliably. If it is sure that we will have to pay, but how much we have to pay, that can't be estimated. This is a present obligation. Or we can say that we have to do some event like a CM is coming to our place, and whatever expenses we have to incur, we doesn't know, because when he come, we'll plan, we will see that what he is demanding, what he is saying. Or in other words, we can say, don't talk about the CM. Instead, we will go for you may say officials from any organization are coming, and whatever they will say, we will have to fulfill. Whatever they will say, we doesn't know in advance. So how much amount we have to incur at that time, we doesn't know. But we have to do that. That is a very much clear concept. So reliable estimate can't be made. Or it is not probable that outflow will be required to settle that, whether payment is to be made or not, that is also not clear. Whether any amount is to be incurred or not, that is also not clear. So in that case, it will be a contingent liability. Exactly, Deshan, you are right. Onerous contract we will do. Just wait, beta. Wait, we are doing it by step. It is better. Contingent asset, which may or may not arise depending upon occurrence or non-occurrence of one or more uncertain future event not in the control of the enterprise. That is called contingent asset. Just like contingent liability, it is reversed to that. We have sued someone in the court. And claimed rupees 10 lakh from him. Now, whether the amount will be received or not, that is not clear to me. It will all depend upon the decision of the court. So it is a contingent asset for me. Present obligation. Simple, which have already arisen if based on the evidence available, existence on the balance sheet is considered probable, more likely than not. Means it will happen. Possible obligation which may or may not, which may arise, but it is not yet confirmed on the balance sheet date. Restructuring, we know it very well. When we will restructure our whole working, that is, restructuring is a program that is planned and controlled by the management and materially changes either the scope of the business or the manner in which business is conducted, meaning thereby that we are going to restructure our business, and the business restructuring will result into change in the scope of a business or manner in which that business is conducted. The process of doing the business is going to be changed. So all that is called restructuring. A building is a building in which we are working. That building has been damaged and reconstructed. That is not restructuring. Restructuring meant for, this is normally done by those students who are going for audit, because in audit you will see that restructuring is done by the bank. Whenever a loan becomes NPA, then that loan is restructured by the bank. So this is just like that restructuring meant for we are going to change the scope of our business. And so other thing is the manner in which we are doing our business. So both things are there. When a provision is to be created, when it is probable that there is an outflow of amount, this is clear, money or money's worth, means something is to be paid. Now, how much will be paid, that can be estimated reliably. Then we will create a provision. In Hindi, it is very simple. Provision कब कैलकुलेट करनी, कब क्रिएट करनी है, जब हमारे पे किसी ने केस किया हुआ है, ओके, 10 लाख रुपए उसने क्लेम किए, अभी पता नहीं है क्योंकि केस विन करेंगे तो पेमेंट देनी पड़ेगी, नहीं विन करेंगे तो पेमेंट नहीं देनी पड़ेगी, फिर नहीं क्रिएट करनी प्रोविजन. लेकिन अगर हमें ऐसा लग रहा है कि ये केस हम लूज कर जाएंगे, वी विल लूज द केस. पहली बात तो ये क्लियर हो गया कि पेमेंट देनी पड़ेगी, वी विल लूज द केस. सेकेंड थिंग, इसके साथ अमाउंट की भी प्रोविजन हम लोग बना सकते हैं. अगर हमें एस्टिमेट है कितनी अमाउंट देनी पड़ेगी, वी एस्टिमेट दैट कम से कम मिनिमम 6 लाख मस्ट बी पेड. We can create a provision of 6 lakhs. So two things are there. One is probable that an outflow is there of money or money's worth, and second is a reliable estimate can be made. Only then provision will be created. If we think we will lose the case, but we are not sure how much payment is to be made, then no provision is to be created. Yeah, contingent liability is to be shown. That is a separate point. So these conditions must be met in total. Means both the conditions must be satisfied. If you think that we may or may not lose the case, but if we lose the case, we have to pay 10 lakh. Even then, no provision is to be created because it is not sure that the amount will be paid. If it is sure that the amount will be paid, only then provision will be created. Is that clear? Review it once again. Review it once again. Yes. Now, check it out whether the substantial degree of estimation means, Namarta, substantial degree of estimation means when we are sure that this much payment will be made, and the substantial degree means for we are 80% sure, we are 90% sure, we are 100% sure. If we are 10% or 20% sure, there is no substantial degree. Substantial degree means we have confidence that this much amount is to be made. So here also substantial degree of estimation is to be made in case we are saying a reliable estimate is to be made. Reliable means substantial degree, obviously. Substantial degree means we are sure. Students are asking again and again for onerous contract. I would like to see the definition is given or not. If it is not given, I would like to give it from my side. Okay. Definition is not given to you regarding on this contract. Due to that reason, you are asking again. Very good. What is onerous contract? Write it down with you. Onerous contract. Now, I would like to take an example first. I have a contract. I have a contract with me, which is to be done. I can't leave that contract. Must be done. Second, this contract will cost me rupees 1 crore. And this is cost. This is condition. And revenue, if I'll do that contract, revenue will be 60 lakhs only. Means output or the result or the income or the revenue from it is 60 lakh. Whereas cost which is rupees 1 crore. And we must have to do the contract. So this is called onerous contracts, where contract is to be done. Cost is more than the revenue which will earn from it. Government, I'm a person who is dealing in advertisement. So we have advertisement company here. I have the contract of Punjab, various areas of Punjab. Now government approaches me. They say you have to make advertisement for us and we will pay you. Government tells me I am charging 20,000 per site. Government says I will pay you 5,000 rupees per site. As the all positions, all locations are given by government. So I can't reject the government that I'm not interested to do your work. Government says you must have to do it. It is mandatory. And you have to work at 5,000 per site only. Maybe this has been mentioned in the agreement when they have given us that particular contract also. Or even it is not mentioned in the contract, but we know it that it must be done. We can't refuse them. So 5,000 per site. My cost is 8,000 per site. Minimum cost. So this is my unavoidable cost. My unavoidable cost is 8,000 per site and revenue will be 5,000 per site. So I'm going to suffer a loss of 3,000. The contract is not yet done. I have received a contract and I have to do it. So that is called onerous contract. Assuming it is clear. So all these have already been done. Past event meant for what? A past event that leads to a present obligation means we have done something in past. On that basis, some obligation has arisen in present. So that is named as past event for the current event. A past event that led to a present obligation means any present obligation that arise based on the past events is called a obligation event. We have already discussed. It is necessary that an enterprise has no realistic alternative to settling this obligation, already discussed. No provision is recognized for cost that needs to be incurred to operate in the future. That means for very simple. Here it is not clear because this is given in some other way. Instead, I would like to let it be clear from the way of example. Let's see the example bit. Yes. I have discussed, I have planned, I have made a contract with any person regarding delivery of goods to him, like we are doing in routine. So for that purpose, I have to incur many expenses in future. Whether those expenses are to be entered in the books as a provision or not. A made a contract with B. A and B enter into a contract for the supply of goods of rupees 10 lakh. For that purpose, A will have to incur expenses of rupees 6 lakh against which it will earn rupees 10 lakh. So whether that 6 lakh provisioning is to be made now or not, as on 31st of March 2021, the contract has been executed. So whether this is to be entered in the financial statement as on 31st of March 21 or not, yes or no? Yes or no? Speak it out fast. वेटिंग फॉर योर आंसर बेटा. आंसर स्पीड से दिया करो, यस या नो. जो समय लगे वो आंसर दे दिया करो, घबराओ ना. यहाँ पर कौन सा आपका कोई कंपटीशन चल रहा है? नीड नॉट टू वरी. यस सर, इट विल बी एंटर्ड इन फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट. नो बेटा, इट विल नॉट बी एंटर्ड इन फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट. ऐसे तो हम लोग सब कुछ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट में एंटर करते रह जाएंगे. As on 31st of March, what I am saying, we have entered into a contract with Mr. A has entered into a contract with B that A will supply goods of rupees 10 lakh to him, but goods are not yet supplied. It is not a sale. It is not a purchase. It is not an expense. It is not an income. So how it will be entered? We have to enter expense, income, loss, gain, etc. So no provisioning is to be made because it is in routine. It's just a part of our operation. Yes, if we are expecting that there may be some loss to be borne by us in future due to the reason of this contract only, then it will be treated as a provision. Then we have to create a provision for the same, because do not anticipate gain, provide for probable losses is the concept. But in this case, I'm not saying any loss which we are expecting from it. So in this case, there is no chance we have to enter it in our books of accounts, beta. It will not be entered in books of accounts. But if we are expecting that we have done a contract and on that basis we are going to suffer a loss in future, then that loss is to be entered in the books of accounts now. So what he is interested to say, if it is not only obligations arising from past event that are recognized as provision, example of such obligations are penalties or cleanup cost for unlawful environmental damage, both of which would lead to an outflow of resources in settlement regarding the future action of the enterprise. Similarly, an enterprise recognizes a provision for the decommissioning of cost of an oil installation to the extent is obliged to rectify already cost. Means if we have done any event in the past and we are expecting to rectify that damage, we have to incur some expenses in future, then provision is to be created. But if we have no such in contrast, because of commercial pressure or legal requirement, an enterprise may intend or need to carry out expenditure to operate in a particular way. But where it is a routine work, there is no need of any provisioning. But in case some work is already done, or such type of thing has already been done, which results into any loss, then it is to be entered in the books, because the enterprise can avoid the future expenditure by its future action. Yes, by changing its method of operation, it has no present obligation for future expenditure. Now, here it is very much clear that there is no chance of this expenditure to be incurred in future because we can change the operation. So no provision is required in this case. So it will depend upon case to case basis that whether provision is to be created or not. Embodying economic benefit means where we have some benefits which have value. वैल्यू बेस्ड बेनिफिट में जिसको हम लोग मनी फॉर्म में वैल्यू कर पाए उसे हम इकोनॉमिक बेनिफिट कहते हैं, और एम्बोर्डिंग मींस हमें मिलेंगे वो. This is good. What is interested to say? Reliable estimate of an obligation. He says if we can make a reliable estimate of an obligation, then it should be entered in the books of accounts. So AS 29 revised concludes that the circumstances in which it will not be possible to reach a reliable estimate will be extremely rare. Means any liability which exists, we can recognize it. But those liabilities which doesn't exist, we may recognize them. If we may recognize them, enter it as a provision. If we can't recognize them, don't enter it as a provision. That liability will instead be disclosed as a contingent. In the extremely rare cases where no reliable estimate can be made, a liability exists and that cannot be recognized. In that case, it will be shown as disclosure as a contingent liability. Means those liabilities where reliable estimate cannot be made can be shown as a contingent liability in the books of account, in the notes to accounts, notes to financial statements, which we have already discussed. An example is also given to you. You may read it. Contingent liability is also clear because we have discussed in detail earlier also. This is a good table given to you, decision tree. He says present obligation as a result of an obligating event. Any obligating event has been done and present obligation arises from there. Any obligating event means the work which must be done, we have done it. And on that basis, some obligation has been arised. And it can be, in that case, we will have to pay some amount. If we have to pay some amount, that is probable outflow is there. In that case, provisioning is to be made. So you have to create a provision in that case. Reliable estimate can be made. Provisioning is required. Provide means provisioning. In case present obligation as a result of an obligating event doesn't arise, possible obligation is there which may or may not arise in future. Possible obligation means which may or may not arise in future. No present obligation is there. And if it is remote, means there is a chance that it will occur. In that case, disclose it as a contingent liability. And in case no possible obligation is there, then we do not have to do anything because nothing has been happened yet. No estimation can be made, no confirmation that it is going to arise or not. Then in case reliable estimate cannot be made, then we have to disclose it as a contingent liability. Probable outflow is there, but estimation cannot be made. In that case, it will be shown as a contingent liability. What is contingent asset? What is contingent asset, beta? That is already discussed. Any asset which results into yes, tell me, what is contingent asset? Until unless you will not remember the definitions, it will be difficult. So learn the definition. What is the definition of contingent liability and what is the definition of contingent asset? That is, both are similar to each other. If you will see, occurrence or non-occurrence of one or more future uncertain events. So what is contingent asset? Contingent asset is an asset which depends upon occurrence or non-occurrence of one or more future uncertain events. So what we have to do here, he is interested to explain you that in this case economic benefit is there, but the claim of an enterprise is pursuing through legal process where the outcome is uncertain because amount is not yet sure. So we should not recognize a contingent asset since this results into an income which is not yet realized. Do not anticipate gain is our concept. So a contingent asset is not disclosed in the financial statements. It is disclosed in the report of approving authorities, that is board of directors in the case of companies, and the corresponding approving authority in the case of any other enterprise where inflow of the economic benefit is probable. So it is to be shown accordingly. So this is a treatment, how it is to be treated. Now, if it is virtually certain that an inflow of economic benefit will arise, the assets and the related incomes are recognized in the financial statement in which they occur. We must have to assess this at the end of every year. Whatever contingent assets are there, we must have to assess them every year at the end, whenever we are preparing the financial statements. We have to check it out whomsoever contingent assets are there. And whenever we feel that these are virtually certain that the inflow will be there from this contingent asset, you will have to enter it in your financial statement. You have to recognize it in your financial statement. हर साल आप लोग 31 मार्च को चेक करते रहोगे कि जो मेरे कंटिजेंट एसेट है उनमें से कोई ऐसा एसेट तो नहीं जिसके पैसे आने की श्योरिटी हो रही है. अगर श्योरिटी है कि पेमेंट आने वाली है चाहे नहीं आई, पहले वो कंटिजेंट एसेट था, बट उस कंटिजेंट एसेट में हम वी विन द केस, हम लोग केस जीत चुके हैं, या कह लो केस हमने विन कर लिया, अभी सिर्फ डिसीजन आना, कोर्ट ने रिटर्न डिसीजन देना है, वोकल हम लोग केस विन कर चुके हैं. तो उस केस में तो श्योरिटी है कि पेमेंट आ जाएगी. इवन ऑन 31st of March, decision of the court is not received to us in written, but we win the case. So in that case we can enter that income in our books of account. There is no problem. So let's have a break. After the break we will continue. हाँ जी सर. Welcome back. So we are discussing about the provisions and contingent liabilities and assets, AS 29. So in this, we have already discussed number of things. This is a summary given to you that how it is to be treated in the books of accounts. It has been made clear that whenever we are expecting, read it. It is giving you an idea where as a result of past events, there may be an outflow of resources in settlement of a present obligation. The one whose existence at the balance sheet date is considered probable. Where as a result of past events, means past event has already been done. Outflow of means any payment is to be made by way of money or money's worth for settling a present obligation. The one whose existence at the balance sheet date is considered probable is that may arise, or a possible obligation, the existence is considered not probable. So there are two things. One is when it is probable. When it is probable, we have to create a provision. So that has been mentioned here. When it is probable, provision is to be created. But when it is not probable, provision is recognized. When it is not probable, then it is separate. Otherwise, if it is probable, then provision is to be recognized. Disclosures are required for the provision. We have to disclose it. But when outflow is not probable, no provision is recognized. Disclosures are required. Third is when there is a possible obligation where the likelihood of an outflow of resources remote. Remote means rare chances are there. There is no chance of any outflow is there. No provision is required. No disclosure is required. So that is divided into three parts. Maybe it is clear. When amount is estimated reliably, provision is required, disclosure is required. When amount cannot be estimated reliably, then no provision is required, no disclosure is required. Disclosure is required only. When there is only a remote chance, remote means which is rarely done. So no provision or no disclosure is required in that case, beta. Yes. AS करीना सर AS भी करवाएंगे I don't understood beta. Karina, I don't clear understood you have messaged me first time, but this message is not clear to me. Sir, AS भी करवाएंगे. Not understood. Please send a detailed query. Okay. So when it is to be measured, how it is to be measured, that is the point. Now the measurement is completely based on three things. The amount which is to be calculated will be based on the judgment of the management of the enterprise. So judgment is important. They may judge it that this much amount is to be paid, whatever they say, it's okay. Second is supplemented by experience of similar transaction. We have checked that in such type of transaction, how much payment is made by that particular enterprises. We can make estimate only on the basis of that. And third thing is reports from independent experts. We have taken a report from independent expert, like if this is a case which is running into court, then we can get an idea from advocate. Specifically, he may give us better idea. He may tell us that this much amount will be paid in your case. Whatever he will say, we'll create a provision accordingly. Second is, we have seen that in such type of cases, how much payment is made, how much amount is to be paid. So we can take that as a base. And third is management has decided themselves that this much amount may be paid in this case. So amount of provision should be created accordingly. But it is very important that amount of provision should not be discounted to its present value. Means we know that the payment is to be made after 2 years or 6 months or 1 year or 3 years. So normally what happens, we are always calculating discounted present value of the amount to be paid or received in future. But this is not to be done in case of provisions. Let it be very much clear. Whatever amount you are expecting to be paid in future, create provision accordingly. Don't go for the discounting of this present value. This will come into your exam even. He may ask a question on this, except in case of decommissioning, restoration, and similar liabilities that is recognized as a cost of property, plant, and equipment. So, in case there is a decommissioning, means we are going to we have installed an asset. That asset is to be uninstalled now. Decommissioning means earlier it was commissioned, it was started, it was installed. Now it is decommissioned. Restoration, we have already discussed that we are going to restore any particular asset. Earlier that asset was with us, then we have removed the asset. Now we are going to restore that asset. We are going to restore a debtor with us. Earlier that debtor has left us. Now that debtor has been restored by us. Similar liabilities that are recognized as cost of property or plant and equipment. So in case of such type of transaction, only and only discounted present value can be used. Otherwise, we'll have to go for the normal valuation. The discounted rate should not reflect risk for which future cash. He has already mentioned you. Discounted rate should be a pre-tax rate that reflects current market assessment of the time value of money and risk specified to the liability. Should not reflect risk for future cash flow estimates have been adjusted. Periodic unwinding of discount should be recognized in statement of P&L. Means simple that you have to recognize it accordingly. You will have to adjust it accordingly only and only in these three cases. Provision is made before tax. Tax is to be dealt according to AS 22. So provisioning is to be always carried on the basis of profit before tax. This is good thing. Expected disposal of asset. Very good point, which will come into your exam. You may ever expect this may come into your exam. आपके exam में आ सकता है. What is saying? If we are expecting any gain on the expected disposal of asset, what it meant for? He says we have created a provision. We have created a provision regarding a particular event, and when that event will occur, an asset is to be disposed of, and on that asset we will earn some income. Like if we'll take an example, no, not example is not given to you. Let's take an example. We have supplied goods. We have purchased a machinery worth rupees 20 lakhs, and then claimed to supplier to get back that machinery worth rupees 20 lakh. Now, if he will get it back or he will not get it back, this is all depending upon circumstances. But if we'll get it back, we may sell an asset. He says we may sell an asset that is correlated with that provision. And if we'll sell that asset, whether we will earn or lose, we are expecting that we will gain on that particular disposal. So if we are expecting any gain, that is to be entered in the books or not. Good example should be taken for that. Maybe let's read it and then I'll make an example for you. Instead, an enterprise recognizes gain on expected disposal at the time specified by the accounting standard dealing with the asset concerned. Okay. Yes, one thing is there. One of my customer to whom goods worth rupees 10 lakh have been sold claimed that the goods were not as per the quality. Sued me in the court. Now I think that we may lose this case and we have to pay minimum 11 lakh rupees in this case. So we have created a provision accordingly. Now one thing is very important. When these goods will be returned to us, returned by customer, obviously an asset will appear into my books, which I will have to sell. It may be sold for rupees 6 lakh, it may be sold for rupees 4 lakh, 8 lakh, because these are returned goods. It will not be sold at 10 lakh. Assume it will be sold at rupees 6 lakh or 7 lakh. So while creating this provision of rupees 11 lakh, whether that 6 lakh is to be adjusted or not, that he is asking you. This 6 lakh is not to be adjusted. You have to create a provision for 11 lakh only. Simultaneously, you will get back the goods and sell those goods for rupees 6 lakh. He said, whenever you will sell it, treat it as per the related AS. Like in this case, it will be covered as per AS 9, revenue recognition, because we are selling the goods. So if we are selling the goods, it's a revenue recognition. It will be treated accordingly. If it is to be kept in books as an asset, as a inventory, it will be treated as per AS2. If it will be sold as a fixed asset, it will be treated as per AS10. Whenever it will be sold, whatever the income we will earn on it, that will be treated accordingly. That it means for better. Provision discounted to its present value means recognizing provisions at their current value. Yes, exactly, but this is not allowed. Gain will not be entered in the books. Exactly, Akashnil. Good point. Reimbursement. Number of cases it happens that I have purchased, A has purchased goods from B. A purchased goods from B, sold it to C. Now, C claimed from A due to the reason of lower quality. Now, whenever A will suffer a loss or make any payment to C, he will reimburse that loss from B. He will reimburse that loss from B, whether partially or fully as per the case. So what will be its statement? Like C claimed from A rupees 1 lakh. Now, whenever A will pay that amount, he will reimburse that amount from B. Charge from B or reimburse from B. But B will have to reimburse that good, that value. How to treat that? An enterprise with a present obligation may be able to seek reimbursement of part or all of the expenditure. Whether it is insurance contract, means we have already insured our goods. We have already insured our goods. In that case, it may happen. Or Indemnity clause may be there in a contract. Indemnity clause means for that if any loss will occur, that will be borne by the other. If any loss will occur, that will be borne by the other. That will be compensated by the other. That means for indemnity clause. Warranty provided by the supplier means B has given us warranty that if goods will not be as per the quality, I'll repair those goods, whatever it is. So whatever occurs, a reimbursement should be recognized only when it is virtually certain that it will be received consequent upon the settlement of the accounts. So in that case, we can enter it in our books of accounts. It is allowed. Reimbursement is allowed to be entered in the books of accounts, beta. Because in case of sale of assets, it is not allowed. But if there is a reimbursement, then that is allowed. Enterprise will remain liable for the whole of the amount in question, so that the enterprise would have to settle the full amount if the third party failed to pay for any reason. A provision is recognized for the full amount and a separate asset for the expected reimbursement will be received. Means we can, if the confirmation is there that the amount will be received, we can enter that in our books of account, otherwise not. In some cases, the enterprise will not be liable for the cost in the question if the third party fails to pay. That means for there is a third party involved in the case and the payment is to be made by him. If he will not pay, I will have to pay. In that case, we have to create the provision. But if there is a provision that if the third party fails to pay, then we will not have to reimburse that. We are not liable to pay that. In that case, it will not be treated. In simple Hindi, बेटा बड़ा सिंपल है कि हम लोग गुड्स किसी से परचेज करके आगे सेल करते हैं, या हम लोग कोई भी ऐसा काम कर रहे हैं जिसमें अगर हमें ये पेमेंट देनी पड़ेगी तो ये पेमेंट हम किसी से चार्ज कर सकते हैं. मींस अगर हमें कोई भी लॉस हो रहा है जिसकी हम प्रोविजनिंग करने जा रहे हैं, तो वो अमाउंट जो हमें पे करनी पड़ेगी वो अमाउंट हम लोग रीइंबर्स कर सकते हैं, किसी से चार्ज कर सकते हैं. अगर ऐसा कुछ केस है तो वो रीइंबर्समेंट अगर आपको पता है कि वर्चुअली सर्टेन है, मतलब आपको पेमेंट पक्का मिल जाएगी, कंफर्म्ड है, तो आप लोग उसको एज ए इनकम, एज ए एसेट, कंटीजेंट एसेट के रूप में नहीं डालोगे. इंस्टेड उसे अपनी इनकम उसकी आप अपनी बुक्स में ट्रीटमेंट करोगे, बुक्स में डाल लोगे कि ये अमाउंट हमारी ड्यू है, हमें मिलेगी, वर्चुअली सर्टेन है. अगर अदरवाइज उसे बुक्स में नहीं डालेंगे. आपको पता है कंटीजेंट एसेट को हम अदरवाइज बुक्स में नहीं डालते अगर वर्चुअली सर्टेन नहीं है. दूसरा केस आ जाता है कि मैंने यहां पर ए ने बैंक से लोन लिया. ए हैज टेकन ए लोन फ्रॉम बैंक. बी हैज गिवन अ गारंटी. बी उसमें गारंटर है जिसने गारंटी दी है कि अगर ए पेमेंट नहीं करेगा तो बैंक को कौन पेमेंट करेगा? बी करेगा. अब उस केस में अगर आपका ए जो है 31 मार्च 22 को आपको एनपीए हो गया उसका अकाउंट. एनपीए मींस नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट बन गया, वो पेमेंट नहीं कर रहा, तो उस केस में आपको पता है ये पेमेंट आपको करनी पड़ेगी. तो अगर आपको ये पेमेंट करनी पड़ेगी तो इन दैट केस इट इज वेरी मच क्लियर कि ये आपको प्रोविजनिंग क्रिएट करनी है अपनी बुक्स में. और अगर आपको पता है कि मुझे पेमेंट नहीं करनी पड़ेगी, मेरी सिर्फ ये गारंटी है कि ये पेमेंट करेगा, नहीं करेगा तो मैं उसमें रिकवरी में आपकी हेल्प करूंगा. If B has given a guarantee in a recovery only, I will help in recovery, not more than that. In that case, B will not create any provision. No provision is required. Is that clear? Change in provision. Change in provision is very good. At the end of every year, you will have to make the estimate that how much provision is required. At the end of 31st March 21, we have created a provision regarding a liability worth rupees 1 lakh. Now, the event doesn't occur in the year. On 31st of March 22, I rechecked. I made a best estimate of that provision once again. Now, this time we think that the 80,000 payment provision is required. So we will reverse 20,000. reverse it, and this will be carried forward. On 31st of March 2023, we think we are going to earn a profit of 1 lakh on this event. So 11 lakh, 11 lakh on this event instead of this 80,000 loss. So this 80,000 will be reversed. Even we are not going to create 11 lakh as our income if income is not virtually certain, but loss is now no chance of any loss. In that case, we may change the provision. We may reverse that provision. There's no problem. Assume it is clear. Next. Very good point. We have created a provision for repair. We have created a provision for repairs. How and why? Let's take an example. I'm selling LEDs and giving warranty to every customer for 2 years. So I think that the customer will come to me and we have to repair their LEDs. This is a routine. So at the end of the year, we have created a provision for repair of LEDs rupees 10 lakhs. So in the next year, we have gone for the repair of LEDs against that warranty, and the payment of rupees 2 lakh is made for that. So what happens? This 10 lakh will be adjusted against this 2 lakh, and balance 8 lakh provision will be carried forward. This repair will be done out of these provisions. But if we have repaired some other things also, repair of, you may say, TV sets also there, for which no provision is created, so that cannot be adjusted against this repair, this provision. Provision is 10 lakh. We have used only 2 lakh. It doesn't mean for the remaining 8 lakh will be used against anyone else. Instead, if we doesn't need this provision at the end of the year, we should have to reverse by rupees 8 lakh. But repair of TV sets of rupees 1 lakh cannot be adjusted against this provision. You must have to understand this thing whenever we are creating provision, what we are doing. Provision meant for profit or loss account debit to provision. That meant for we are reducing our profit, we are charging it as an expense. In the next year, when this expense is actually incurred, send expense account debit to cash, and at the end of the year, it will be adjusted against the provision. Like in the given case, I have taken an example of 10 lakh. So provision is created for 10 lakhs, expenses incurred 2 lakhs, provision is to be adjusted against 2 lakhs. Now at the end of the year, we have to recheck the provision once again. If we think that the provision of 4 lakh is required only at the end of the year, so we will reverse the provision account debit to profit or loss account. 10 lakh was the opening provision, minus 2 lakh is already adjusted, minus 4 lakh is to be carried forward. So we have to reverse 4 lakh. This is the accounting system which should be clear to every student. For creating provision, for expense incurred, for adjusting of प्रोविजन क्रिएट कर दी हमने प्रॉफिट और लॉस टू प्रोविजन एंट्री डाल के, देन एक्सपेंसेस इनकर किए तो एक्सपेंस अकाउंट डेबिट टू कैश डाल दिया एंट्री, एडजस्टमेंट करनी है तो आपको एक्सपेंस को आपको प्रोविजन से एडजस्ट करना है, ये रूल है, आपने एडजस्ट कर दिया। क्लियर हुआ तो बताओ, नहीं क्लियर हुआ तो बताओ। Send me your comment. Have a water. If we are expecting that we may suffer a loss when we will do the business in future, operating means we are doing routine business. We will do our routine business and we may suffer some loss in future. Then it is not recognized to be entered in the books of accounts now, because this is a normal thing कि हम लोग फ्यूचर में माल बेचेंगे, माल बेचने में हमें लॉस होगा. अगर हमने कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर लिया इस साल और उस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट की वजह से हमें गुड्स सेल करनी पड़ेंगी नेक्स्ट ईयर और ये मैंडेटरी है, तो उस केस में तो हम उस लॉस के लिए प्रोविजन क्रिएट कर सकते हैं. बट अगर हम ये सोच रहे हैं कि हम गुड्स परचेज करेंगे नेक्स्ट ईयर में, फिर हम गुड्स बेचेंगे और हमें लगता है कि हमें 10% का लॉस होगा, तो दैट इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड टू बी एंटर्ड, बिकॉज इसका मतलब ये कि आप इंटेंशनली अपने प्रॉफिट को कम करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. इज दैट क्लियर? Last entry doesn't understand. Okay. Reversal of provision meant for what? We have to prepare a provision account. In this, what we are doing, we are making an entry of opening balance 10 lakh rupees. Then whatever expenses are there, entry number 3rd is there, 2 expenses that is adjusted. Then whatever is to be kept as a closing balance, if we know that the provision of 4 lakh is to be carried forward for the next year, then automatically balance figure will come. That will be rupees 4 lakh. So whatever is the balance figure that will be transferred to profit or loss account, that I have done. Provision account debit to profit loss. Is that clear now? Prepare this account, it will let you be clear. This is also done for provision for income tax, provision for bad debts, or any provision. This is done for everything. I think this is clear. Copy it. Kunal, is that clear? Restructuring. Already discussed. You may take an examples of this. He says we are going to sell or terminate a line of our business. That is called restructuring. Closure of a business location in some country, like segment. We are saying we have closed some segment. Discontinuing operation we have already done. It is just like that. Change in management structure, eliminating a layer of management. That is, earlier there was a layer of management that has been changed now. So provision is to be created only in case we estimate that all the terms and conditions of creating provision are satisfied. If those are not satisfied, we will not create any provision. Provision meant to be created when we can probably estimate that the provision that the future that we may have to incur these expenses in future, which are related to the event which has been done in the current year or in the past years, and simultaneously reliable estimate can be made. No obligation arising from for the sale of an operation until the enterprise is committed to the sale. Until there is a binding sale agreement, the enterprise will be able to change its mind and indeed have another course. So if a purchaser cannot found an acceptable terms. So that means for if we are expecting that we have to suffer a loss of 10 lakh rupees because we are to sell our business. Now, whether this is a binding contract means he is going to sell its business, discontinue its business, line of its business, and expecting that this will be sold for rupees 40 lakhs. Book value is 50 lakhs. So we are expecting a loss of 10 lakh on it. So A is going to sell its asset to B. Both have been agreed that the assets will be sold for 40 lakhs. Value of the asset in our books is 50 lakhs. So whether this 10 loss of rupees 10 lakh to be entered in the books of accounts, yes or no? He says it is yes if this is a binding agreement. Means the agreement between A and B is binding. If A have an option to come out of that contract and sell these goods to someone else also, in that case, it will not be entered in the books of accounts, because in that case, there may be you may say, you may go for some fake workings. So government is interested to stop you from doing this. There must be a binding agreement. If binding, then there's no problem. Until there is a binding, the enterprise will not be able to, until there is no binding agreement, until there is a binding sale, until there is no sale binding sale agreement, the enterprise will be able to change its mind and will take another course of action if the purchaser cannot found on acceptable terms. So there may be some mistake. There is a until there is not a binding sales agreement. Okay. So if any direct expenses are to be incurred for restructuring, only then we have to, for that particular expenses, we have to create a provision. Otherwise, no provision is required. It doesn't include retraining cost or relocation cost or marketing or investment cost. This may come into your exam, so you must have to memorize it. So any such cost will not be included. This is just a items to be kept into the mind. Even gain on the disposable expected disposal of asset are not taken into account in measuring a restructuring provision. Even if the sale of the asset is envisaged as a part of restructuring, means we are expecting there may be some gain on the disposal of asset, but that will not be entered in the books of accounts as it is not allowed. Identifiable future operating losses up to the date of restructuring are not included. If we are expecting any loss in business due to the reason of restructuring, then that is not allowed to be entered in the books of accounts. Now, what is the disclosure in this chapter? Disclosure is very simple and normal. Whatever is the carrying amount at the beginning of the year, that I have already discussed with you, that this is the way how you have to disclose. You have to disclose the opening provision. You have to disclose the expenses incurred or losses incurred during the year for that provision. Whatever is adjusted in profit or loss account means whatever there is an increase or decrease in provision, that is to be entered. Whatever is the amount of closing provision, that is to be entered. Provision में क्या क्या शो करना है आपने? एक तो ओपनिंग बैलेंस क्या था उसका, दूसरा आपने ड्यूरिंग द ईयर उस प्रोविजन के अगेंस्ट क्या लॉसेज हुए, क्या आपके एक्सपेंसेस हुए, वो डालने, वो शो करने हैं. तीसरा आपको ये शो करना है उसमें कोई इंक्रीज डिक्रीज हुई है प्रोविजन में इस साल. और फोर्थ आपको शो करना है कि आपका क्लोजिंग बैलेंस कितना है प्रोविजन का. Very good point. Keep into mind, SMCs, small and medium enterprises, are exempt from the above disclosure requirement. Means this is for big companies only. An enterprise should disclose the following for each class of provision. Again, same thing. He says, for every class of provision, you must have to disclose the nature of the obligation and the expected time of any resulting outflow of economic benefit. So what is the expected time for that? That is to be disclosed. An indication of the uncertainties is to be disclosed, whether necessary to provide adequate information, and means these are the general things which are to be kept into mind by you. SMCs are kept out of the purview of AS29. SMCs have no problem. Then these are the general disclosures. I would like to discuss with you the illustrations because I will suggest you to discuss illustration now. Read all the illustrations. Having any doubt, just tell me. Read illustration number 1. Having any doubt, just tell me. Then I will tell you to read illustration number 2. So all the illustrations to be read now and discussed now. You will have to read it. Ask me the query. 2 illustrations are given to you. At the end of financial year, a company finds that there are 20 lawsuits outstanding which have not been settled. We are expecting that we will win 5 cases, and out of 10 cases, next 10 cases win 50%, low damages 40%, and high damages 10%. And expecting a loss of this, remaining 5 cases win 50%, lose 30%, and lose 20% high damages. So how much contingent loss and accounting treatment envisaged meant for involved in it? Hitesh Jain is asking envisaged. Envisaged means involved in it. Remaining is line, whatever is there. We can collectively find the meaning of that line. Read this illustration. This is very important for you. Having any doubt, just tell me. Illustration number 1. Read it and tell me the doubt. See how he has given the solution. First of all, he has mentioned what is the ES applied on this. according to ES 29. He has mentioned it, revised. Name of the ES. Then concept is given. Contingent liability should be disclosed in the financial statement if following conditions are satisfied. We can't give word by word, but we may try to give it in a good language. So there is a present obligation arising out of past events, but not recognized as provision. Because in this case, whatever concept is to be given, that is according to the understanding in the question. Means we must have to correlate our answer, whatever answer we have to give, with the information given in the AS. So in the AS, we know it very well that in this case, he has already mentioned you. If you will see, if you will see here, it is very much clear that 100% chances of loss is not there. Chances of winning of 100% is there, but chances of losing the cases is not 100% in the given case. It is only 40% in some cases and 10% in some cases. It is 30% in some cases and 20% in some cases. So in this case, no provisioning is possible. Provisioning is allowed only and only if we are sure that the payment will be made. So we must have to let it be clear when a provision is required, when contingent liability is required, because he says we have to calculate the contingent loss and the accounting treatment inspect thereof. So what is contingent loss that you must have to define in this case? So contingent liability should be disclosed with the following conditions. What is the condition? Present obligation arising from past event but not recognized as provision. He says it is not recognized as provision when it is not probable. When it is not probable that an outflow will be required to settle the obligation. So here outflow is not sure. It is not dead sure because we have just few chances of outflow. Possibility of an outflow is not remote and it is not remote. Remote means it may or may not be. Possibility of an outflow is not remote. Means it is not compulsory. The amount of the obligation cannot be measured with sufficient reliability to be recognized as provision. Means reliability must be there. If there is no reliability, we cannot enter it as a provision in our books of accounts. Contingent liability should be disclosed, but provision is not to be created when there is a present obligation arising out of past event but not recognized as provision. If it is not possible to be recognized. Second, when it is not probable that the outflow will be there, when the outflow is not remote, and fourth, when it cannot be measured reliably. तो there are four cases, चार केस हैं बेटा इसमें जब हमने कंटीन्यूअल लायबिलिटी शो करनी है बट प्रोविजन नहीं क्रिएट करनी. वो क्या है? पहला केस कि हमारे पास पास्ट इवेंट के बेस पर प्रेजेंट ऑब्लिगेशन राइज तो हो रही है पर उसकी हम प्रोविजन क्रिएट नहीं कर सकते, रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं कर सकते. दूसरा, जब हमारे पास उसका जो पेमेंट जाएगा, जो मनी और मनी वर्थ जाएगी, उसकी अमाउंट हमें प्रोबेबल नहीं है, हम लोग एस्टिमेट नहीं लगा सकते. तीसरा, वो रिमोट भी नहीं है, जरूरी भी नहीं है. और फोर्थ क्या है? इट कैनॉट बी मेजर्ड विद सफिशिएंट लायबिलिटी टू बी रिकॉग्नाइज्ड एज प्रोविजन. ये चारों बातें जब हो जाती हैं तो हमें उस केस में यहां पर जैसे है वो अप्लाई हो जाता है कि इस केस में क्या है कि आपके पास 100% श्योरिटी नहीं है कि आपको लॉसेस होंगे. ड्यू टू दैट रीजन आपको क्या करना है? आपको इस केस में कोई प्रोविजन क्रिएट नहीं करनी, आपको सिर्फ कंटिन्यूअल लायबिलिटी शो करनी है बाय वे ऑफ ए नोट. अमाउंट में भी कैलकुलेट एज अंडर. सो एक्सपेक्टेड लॉस इन नेक्स्ट 10 years केसेस वो दिया हुआ है 68,000 और 72,000. टू डिस्क्लोज हम सिर्फ कंटिन्यूअल लायबिलिटी के रूप में इसे डिस्क्लोज करेंगे. हाईली अनरियलिस्टिक, देयरफॉर द बेटर अप्रोच विल बी टू डिस्क्लोज द ओवरऑल एक्सपेक्टेड लॉस as contingent liability, not as a provision. So provision is not created, only contingent liability is created, that there may be a chance of appearing a contingent liability. How it is calculated? 1,20,000 into 40%, 2 lakh into 10% as it is given to you, 1 lakh into 30% and 2,10,000 into 20%. Is that clear to everyone? Illustration number 1. Is that clear to everyone, beta? Tell me, clear or not clear? I'm not getting a response from your side, beta. Fast. Yes, very good, very good. Send me the responses. Very good. It is clear. Very good. Others? So illustration number 2 is there. Now read illustration number 2 and tell me if there is any doubt. Very simple. He says company sale tax assessment has been done and 2.76 crores is the liability. Company has paid the liability and further appealed for 2.10 crores only. Means company has agreed that 2.76 minus 2.10 crore is okay with them. So this is to be entered in the books as an expense or loss, whatever it is. Otherwise, it is a loss because it has occurred suddenly. So it will be entered in the books as loss. Remaining 2.10 crore is under dispute. If it is under dispute, it will be shown as a contingent liability. That's it. Good. Next is companies have entered into a wage agreement whereby the labor union has accepted a revision in wages from retrospective effect. Agreement provided that the hike till May 22 will not be paid but will be settled to them at the time of retirement. Company agreed to deposit arrear in government bonds by September 2022. Read it. Let's take the doubts first over the previous one and then I'll come back here because I think we must have to clear each and everything. Here it has been multiplied with 10 and 5. Miss Pooja has asked why they have multiplied with 10 and 5, sir. Okay. Where it is multiplied with? Okay, very good. See here it is, beta. How many cases are there? Next 10 cases. So these are 10 cases and these are 5 cases. So when it is calculated, it will be multiplied with 5. When it is calculated, it will be multiplied with 10 because this is given for each and everyone separately. Is that clear? Khushbu, practical question number 1. Okay. So I think I already discussed with you that all the doubts regarding your practical questions I'll take on 21st of August. Is that clear, Pooja? So this is multiplied with 10 and 5 accordingly. Yes. The company entered into a wage agreement whereby labor union has accepted a revision in wage. The agreement provides that the will not be paid, but if even if expenses are not to be paid, but these are to be paid later on. Payment is not compulsory to be made now. It may be paid later on also, but if payment is confirmed, provision must be created for the same. So here we have to create a provision for this one. Whatever the amount we have to pay, we have to create a provision for the same. That has been mentioned here. The area for the period from June 21 to 20 are required to be provided for in the books of accounts. That's it. He has mentioned it. So there are test your knowledge MCQs are given to you. You must have to do all these MCQs, beta. This is a homework for you. You can say this you may do all MCQs, practical questions you have to do. You may do suggested answers. You may do tenure. You may do as much questions as possible which has come into your exam during previous 10 years. It will be beneficial for you. So I suggest you to do all this. Review your all AS once again before 21st August. On 21st August, that is Sunday, not the coming Sunday, but next Sunday, the coming Sunday and then next Sunday. Coming Sunday is on maybe 14th, and then there is a Sunday on 21st. There will be class in the evening. Maybe its timing will be uploaded on your BOS portal. It will be 6 to 8:30. I would like to check it out. Just wait. I may confirm you the timing also. Six to 8:30, 21st August, Sunday. Special session on AS will be conducted. Now my next lecture will be on day after tomorrow. That is on Wednesday. Today is Wednesday maybe. Okay. So it will be on 12th, in which we will cover ESOPs and other chapters, whatever is given to me. That we will do. All the very best. Met in the next lecture. Okay then. Thank you.